Hello and welcome back. So we have identified the broad category of the pathology, the presenting problem. It's an attachment related pathology. The attachment system is the brain system for love and bonding. A child rejecting a parent is a problem in love and bonding. So we have an attachment related pathology. We have identified the three primary categories of symptom display: the angry, aggressive, conflict symptoms, the anxiety symptoms. And now let's talk about the attachment related symptoms. So we're going to put both of those away and we're just going to focus on the attachment system symptoms right now. The attachment symptom presented by the child is a child's rejection of a parent. That is an extraordinarily unusual and pretty much unheard of form of attachment pathology, the rejection of a parent. The reason for that is the attachment system itself is a primary motivational system of the brain. It is akin to eating and reproduction. It evolved across millions of years of evolution involving the selective predation of children. It is a primary motivational system of the brain. And the attachment system is referred to as a goal-corrected motivational system. It always seeks the goal of forming an attachment bond to the parent. In response to bad parenting, it changes how it tries to achieve that goal, but it always tries to achieve the goal of an attached relationship to the parent. The reason for that is because it's a predator-driven system, that it evolved over millions of years of evolution across species because children are prey animals. When the predators coming through the grasses, they're not looking at the adult, they're looking at the child. It's the child who's the prey animal. And so children who bonded to parents were able to get parental protection from predators. Children who didn't bond to parents fell prey to the predators. And so over the countless years, countless eons of evolution, children who bonded to parents, their genes increased in the gene pool, they got parental protection, they survived. Children who didn't bond or bonded less strongly to the parent would get eaten by predators, fall off cliffs, fall prey to other environmental dangers. They would die at a higher rate. So over eons and eons of evolution and selective predation of children, a very strong and powerful motivational system developed in the brain that strongly motivates children to bond to parents. It has extraordinary survival advantage to parents. What happens in response to bad parent? So we have a child out here who's a prey animal, and we have a parent who's supposed to be watching out for the kid, but isn't. Is a bad parent for some reason, is rejecting of the child, isn't nurturing enough, something. That's a bad parent. If the child says, "You're a bad parent, I'm going to reject you," there's a predator over here that's more than happy to eat the kid. And so children who rejected parents were eaten by predators. They fell off cliffs. They didn't get food. They got lost. They died. Children who rejected parents died. In a bad parent, if there's a bad parent here, and this child is more strongly motivated to the bad parent and still tries to bond to that parent, that bad parent, they're more likely to get protection from that bad parent, which will help them survive. So kids who are more strongly motivated to bond to a bad parent have an increased chance of survival. So those genes increase in the gene pool. Kids who reject bad parents disappear from the gene pool. So over millions of years of evolution, this brain system, this attachment system for love and bonding, primary motivational system in the brain, has developed these brain circuits that in response to bad parenting, it more strongly motivates the child to bond to the bad parent. That's called an insecure attachment. And we know how that insecure attachment works. There's three categories of insecure attachment. There's anxious ambivalent, there's anxious avoidant, and there's disorganized. And now the attachment system is a goal-corrected motivational system. It's always motivating the child to form a bond to the parent. So in response to bad parenting, it changes how it tries to form that bond, but it's always trying to form that bond. And because of that, because it's a goal-corrected motivation, we can tell what type of bad parenting the child is exposed to by how the child is adjusting. How that attachment system adjusts to the bad parenting tells us what type of bad parenting. So let me run through. The first category, anxious, ambivalent, what we see with that is a child who out here, and the child's a prey animal, and we have a parent who is inconsistently available. Sometimes they're there, but sometimes they're not, and so they're kind of, that attachment bond is inconsistent in its availability. What that does is it provokes the child's attachment system then emits protest behavior that is designed to elicit the involvement of the parent. So the child basically goes, hey, pay attention to me, I'm climbing on things I shouldn't be, I'm causing all sorts of behavior problems, look at me, look at me, look at me. And in creating all those behavior problems, it elicits the involvement of the parent because the parent's annoyed, basically. And as long as that parent is involved with the child, that predator is going to pass that child and target one of the other kids. So anxious ambivalent attachment is in response to a caregiver who is variable in their availability, and so it's a way for the child to acquire the involvement of the bad parent. The other type of anxious insecure parenting or anxious insecure attachment is called anxious avoidant. And what that is when the parent is overwhelmed. The parent is maybe depressed or is just emotionally, psychologically overwhelmed. In this case, if the child emits protest behavior, the parent goes further away. So emitting protest, demandingness, neediness, that parent goes away. If the child is low protest, then the parent stays around. So what that does is the child learns to be low demand, low protest. Nope, I'm good. I'm okay. Everything's fine. And that's the anxious avoidant. The child says, nope, I'm good. No problem here. Low demand in order to keep that parent close. Because if they protest, it's gone. So those are your two strategies here. Now in this situation, we got those hostile, aggressive kinds of things. That's conflict, that's protest behavior. So that would indicate a parent, the targeted parent, who is variable in their availability, who is inconsistent in their availability. Treatment, you open up the parent's availability. Be available to the child so the child can bond to you. We need you to be consistently available. But wait a minute. In this symptom display, that targeted parent is available to the child. They want to bond to the child. They're trying to bond to the child. So that parent is available. The child is rejecting a parent who is available. That makes no sense. That makes absolutely no sense. That is not how protest behavior works. That is not how the attachment system works. This is just an inauthentic display of the attachment system from top to bottom. The third type of attachment problem is disorganized, and that's a whole different ball of wax. We're not looking at a disorganized attachment. Here, what we're looking at the disorganized attachment is in the narcissistic borderline parent. But I'm not going to go there today, but that's the disorganized attachment. And that's what we're seeing in all the chaos and disorganization of this family, is we're looking at a disorganized attachment from the parent. So with attachment-related pathology, children never reject parents. We don't see it's an inauthentic display of protest behavior. We see a child who's rejecting a parent, which we never see. Now, the parent-child bond, let me talk about this for a second. Parent-child bond is a primary attachment bond. That's where the whole system developed. Children's bonding to parent. It flips to parent bonding to children, and they repeat the same patterns, and that's a primary attachment bond. So it's this parent-child bond is the primary attachment bond. But the attachment system itself covers love and bonding throughout the lifespan, including grief and loss. So it covers bonding to spouses as well. And That spousal attachment network is what would be considered a secondary attachment network, because at the child it has to do with survival, not so much on adults. On adults, we pair bond to provide resources for families and stuff, but we're essentially adults. We can take care of ourselves in terms of predators and getting food and all that sort of stuff. So it doesn't have that same survival advantage as it does for the kid. And so the attachment system allows adults to sever their attachment bonds, because that actually has a little survival advantage. If we have kids with one and then we go off and have kids with another, then we've spread our genes around and their gene pool increases. So the attachment system isn't so upset about breaches in the spousal attachment bond. If you're a problem, we just move on. We just say, thanks, we're getting a divorce, we move on. Never see that in the kid, though. Never see that in the primary. So spouses separate. Spouses reject each other for being bad spouses. Children never reject parents for being bad parents. We don't see that in the world. I'm divorcing you as my parent. We don't see parents doing that to children. I'm putting you up for foster care, putting you up for adoption because you're just annoying. I'm tired of doing homework with you. You're out of here. You're up for adoption. We don't see that in the primary attachment bond. We do see it in the spousal. So here we have a child symptom, rejection of a parent, that is essentially a spousal attachment system in the child. Well, that's weird. How does a child acquire a spousal attachment system? The same way a child acquires narcissistic personality traits, the same way the child acquires the anxiety symptoms, through the influence on the child of the parent, of the allied parent. So, going back to that idea, we're lifting the fingerprints off of the child's symptoms of the psychological control of the child. We're seeing multiple symptoms. All three of these primary symptoms are the result of the influence on the child by an allied parent. None of those symptoms are authentic to actual children. I don't see those symptoms in actual children. We don't see a specific phobia, a mother type, in real children. We don't see narcissistic personality pathology in real children. We don't see a rejection of a parent, an affectionately available parent, in real children. These are all inauthentic child symptom displays. All of them explained by the cross-generational coalition, which includes the inverted hierarchy, and we can look into that and the family system stuff, and we get the emotional cutoff and all sorts of stuff there. Now, we will see a child's rejection of a parent in two cases. One, really. 1.5. Where we see a child's rejection of a parent, very characteristic, a child rejecting a parent, is incest. Sexual abuse, incest, will produce an immediate termination of the child's attachment bonding towards the parent. So that's one. The second place we sometimes see a child rejecting a parent is in response to chronic and severe hostile, aggressive, violent parenting. And so sometimes over years of just violent parenting, electrical cords, beatings, and cigarette burns, and just really hostile, aggressive, negative parenting, you can terminate the child's attachment bonding towards that parent. But the attachment system confers such a high level of survival advantage to the child that it really takes a pounding. It takes a lot of violent, aggressive parenting to terminate the child's attachment bonding motivations to that parent. Anybody who worked foster care knows this, and we know that the child, we remove the child because of violent, aggressive parent, and the child still wants to go back and be with that parent. When can I go back to be with my mom or dad? The attachment bonding is just strong, because a bad parent is still better than a predator. And that attachment system, it just motivates us to take possession possession of that parent. That's my mother, that's my father. I need them to love me. I need them to form a bond with me. Very strong motivation system. So, but those are the only two situations that we might see or could see a breach of the attachment. So, attachment-related pathology. The final thing I want to say about this is that the attachment system never spontaneously dysfunctions. It has too much survival advantage. If it just went crazy and haywire, those children are eaten by predators. The genes for going crazy and haywire are removed from the gene pool. So the attachment system does not spontaneously dysfunction. It only becomes dysfunctional in response to what's called pathogenic parenting, pathopathology, genic, genesis creation. So it's parenting practices that are creating a pathology in the child. The construct of pathogenic parenting is used extensively in developmental psychology. It's an established construct in clinical psychology, and it's most often used in reference to attachment-related pathology, since the attachment system never spontaneously dysfunctions, but only becomes dysfunctional in response to pathogenic parenting. So the question here is, we have an attachment-related pathology, symptoms of a child rejecting a parent, significant attachment pathology. The differential question is, we know for a fact, we know because we have attachment-related pathology, we know there's pathogenic parenting. We know this pathology is being created by a parent. The question is the parent the targeted rejected parent, or is the parent the allied and supposedly favored parent? That's our differential diagnosis. We know one or the other. And so follow me along to the next segment and we'll begin to talk about how we make that differential diagnosis of the attachment-related pathology.